Welcome to Sales Bites by Journey, where we talk about everything you need to know to be a killer at sales. I'm your host, Will Jenkins. Let's get it. Hello, and welcome to Sales Bites by Journey. My name is Will Jenkins, CEO and founder of Journey, and your host here today. And I am joined by Jordan Reber, Executive Vice President at ARL Network. Jordan, thanks for being here.
Hey, Will. It's good to be here.
Yeah, man. So I met Jordan in Colombia. This is probably 7 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago in Bogota.
Yeah.
I love it.
Specifically, you were on a treadmill running.
Yes.
And we briefly said hello, and then we caught up at breakfast.
Yeah, man.
You had not showered yet, if I remember right, Tim.
No, I was probably breathing really hard and sweating a lot. It sounds about right. Yeah, man. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure getting to know you the last 7-8 years. And it's really cool to learn more about what you and the team have built at ARL Network. So for those that may not be familiar with your career and what y'all are building, would you mind just giving us like a 10,000 foot overview of you and what y'all have going on over there?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the business for about 20 years, fell into it like everyone else. So right out of college, got into a management training program at PGT Trucking, which is a flatbed trucking company here in Pittsburgh or outside of Pittsburgh. At the time, they also had a logistics arm, which is called Pittsburgh Logistics, that did fully outsourced contract solutions for some major steel mills. And that was really my baptism into the brokerage world. So after about a year, I moved over and we started what they called their transactional brokerage group. It was called Freight Solutions. At the time, I had no idea other than I understood flatbed trucking. I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, well, just call all these shippers and see if you can get any freight from them. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I did that for another 9 years. We built that brokerage up, multiple cities across the country. After about 10 years of doing that, I met up with Ron Faraday, owner of ARL, and him and I just hit it off. And he brought a different component to what I was doing, really heavy in the drayage space, which I knew enough to be dangerous, but it was certainly an area for me to expand. And I think his network in the intermodal world, my network in the truckload world was just a nice marriage. And so I started to build a brokerage here at ARL. That has then since blossomed through our agent network, that we have a company store brokerage, we have an agent base as well, and then we have about 950 trucks that are also agent based, big supporters of owner operators. So heavy in the drayage space, although we are diversifying now into dry van, flatbed, doing a lot of drop trailer programs, things of that nature. So the cool part about the ARL network is it's always expanding and evolving and changing. So we are an asset-based trucking company with a logistics arm, but we can move around with our different agents based on opportunities that we have. And I think it's just really cool to kind of see these problems that we're solving for customers on a day-to-day basis. And I say we because there's just so many important people in the mix. And we're just here to try to help make the process go as smooth as possible.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for joining us today, Jordan. I know we're going to dive into what sets you apart from others. I'm sure there are quite a lot of things to attack here. So I'll pass it over to you, man. What do you want to start off with there?
Yeah, I think it's really important to not sell it yourself as your everything to that person. I think that especially in today's world, I mean, that's going to turn off a potential customer really fast. I think it's refreshing for them to hear you say the things that you don't do. And say, I'm not going to pretend to be everything to you. At the end of the day, I want to understand it all. I want to ask all these questions, figure out if we are a potential fit for you. But then when it comes time to really honing in on what ARL does well, that's really where I'm going to differentiate myself from my competitors, because, people can replicate and try to do some of the things that we do. But to have the exact tech stack, the people that we have in place here, the services that we offer that we're niche at, there's not many that are going to be exactly like us. We have people that are similar. So I think it's really important that just you understand that, especially as a new person selling and you're new to a company, like that should be the questions you're really asking. It's like, what sets us apart? Like, I don't want to sound like everybody else, so give me those things so that I can really hone in on that with a customer, which may mean you limit your scope a little bit and may mean you eliminate yourself from certain opportunities, but at least the shippers know where you stand. And they know exactly what it needs you can fill.
It's funny that you say that, because I learned that early on, and at first it seemed counterintuitive, but I use it in our business all the time today. People that we do a lot of business with will come and ask us, hey, can you help with this? And it may be a role, it may be a training, it may be something in consulting. And man, we're not your guys for that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it builds such better relationships long term.
Yeah, and I think through our network too, and we always say expand the network, and because we know a lot of people that do the things that we don't do really well, and I think that's really big. Hey, no, we don't do it, but I know someone that is, and I can make that introduction for you, and hey, we're not going to make a dime off of that, but I think that shipper remembers that. Okay, yeah, all right, and there's not an immediate opportunity to do something now, but you're the one that made that original introduction, or at least gives me a reason to follow back up and stay in touch. That they know, hey, I brought value to this without even getting something in return.
Absolutely. So when you think about ARL and what you all do differently as you're positioning the business, what are some things that you key in on that help you differentiate this or teach new sellers how to differentiate the offering?
Yeah, and we really have three audiences at ARL. So we have your customers, which could be direct shippers, or on our asset side, there's a lot of intermediaries. We have agents because we do, so that's what we are. We support an agent-based model, and then we have owner-operators. We call them independent business entities. So these are the drivers. So three different audiences. So I think if we really want to focus then just really on the shippers, like what services we're offering, and as I said, we lean into the drayage. That is what we've been known for years. Ron Ferry and his dad did a great job building up ARL's reputation in that space. And I think from there, for what my team brought is that a little bit of flair. Where, okay, we can flex in some truckload brokerage. Flatbed was always our big specialty. And obviously we can do a lot of dry van too. So between dry van, flatbed, drayage, which then also led to power only, like that's really where the majority of our bread is buttered. Yeah, we do some LTL. Yeah, we definitely do warehousing because there's a lot of transloading that comes on. And I think what happened with COVID was great, really, once everything got all backed up and now the ports, especially on California, were backed up. Dre transload with final mile delivery became a service that people are looking for. And we could offer the one-stop shop. Like you come to us, give us the DO, let us know when it needs to be delivered. And we're going to take it from the port. We're going to get a translator. We're going to put it in the right equipment, track it all the way through. If you want it expedited, we'll put a team on it. We give you one bill at the end of the day. A lot of times we were clearing demurrage like crazy as well. And that can be tough for some of these bigger companies to get that done efficiently. So we became that one-stop shop, which really took what was interesting, my world of truckload, Ron Farady's world of dray and transloads, combining it all together into a great service. Which for about a year and a half was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that just kind of worked out that way. But I think we knew that prior to COVID so that we were able to capitalize on it when the opportunity arose.
I think it's important to understand your audience. That's the note that I took, right? So you started talking about the three different places that you all transact. You got your shippers, your agents, and your independent business owners that are your owner ops. You got to know how to position what you do relative to them because that engagement is always different. And even across modes, right? Drayage, flat, dry, transloading, there's just different messaging to use across all that.
Sure. Yeah. And I think especially when you look at like the agents, which, there's agents that move to us from other agencies, but a lot of times it's someone that had their own motor carrier. And look, there's a lot of value in looking at becoming an agent instead of having your own MC. Yeah, you're going to give up a percentage of the line haul, but now you don't have to worry about insurance anymore, which is getting more and more expensive every single day. You have one bad accident, you're in trouble. These scheduled vehicle policies that most guys with under 20 trucks are going to be on is you pay for that premium, whether you have a driver in the seat or not. You can get rid of all that. You don't have to worry about billing. These customers are collecting cash, and customers don't tend to pay in 30 days like you'd like them to. So cash flow is always a problem. And then you pick up all these other things where you get, someone that's helping you recruit drivers. You got a national account sales team that's helping you land business to expand. You could truly get rid of all the noise within the business and just focus on your drivers and your customers and really start to scale. And as long as you can get it on the path of, I don't have my name on the side of the truck anymore, I got somebody else's, and pull the ego out of it. Like, that's a pretty powerful thing. And you know what? When one of those guys gets into an accident, you're going to be pretty happy that it's not your name on the side of it. And it becomes our problem, not yours.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So question for you, when you think about talking to new reps, let's think about people that are less than a year in and they're trying to figure out how to talk about a business's differentiators. What do you think are the easiest things for them to gravitate towards as they're learning? Okay, I need to differentiate or set us apart as I talk to different audiences.
Yeah, I'd be in my trainer's ear all the time, and whatever training they gave you, if you didn't think it was adequate enough, constantly going back to them. I would just be annoying to them as possible until I was comfortable with understanding it. Obviously then back to the thinking about looking around the room and who does things really, really well. It's not always the guy with the most numbers that is the best seller. I think we've all seen that in our career. They were the best seller a few years ago, and now they just kind of manage this bigger book. Or they have these relationships. So it's just not a skill you can look at and say, well, you already know these people, so it's a little bit harder for me. Or you're getting referrals. I can't get a referral. But if I want to be able to sell this as well as someone that's been here for 10 years, it's going to take some reps and understanding. And some people are very visual. So let me see this. And hey, this is let me repeat it back to you to make sure I understood it. I think I would do all that before I ever picked up the phone to call anybody. And I think you get various levels of training based on the company you're at, but you as the person there can control based on your willingness to continue to ask for help.
That willingness is huge. A lot of times it can be uncomfortable for the person, and maybe you don't know who to go to, and it's a little awkward, but there's so much knowledge typically on a sales floor and with people that have been tenured and done it for a long time that's going to expedite your learning curve so much.
Yeah, and I think you've seen enough. There's always those guys that hang around a little after 5 that are clean up and look, they might have a little bit of time today, or heck, let me go buy you a drink. They come in and just pick your brain. It's hard during the day to really get that out of them. But when you see that there's downtime, that's the perfect time. They just pick their brain.
Man, when I first got into shipper facing sales, I had a group of 9 business development reps that were just green as grass, brand new, had never sold to shippers before. And I spent like a month just asking every tenured sales manager and director and seller, how'd you land that customer? Why did they buy from you? How'd you position what you're doing? Because I was like, dude, I have to teach these people how to do this. And I don't know how to do it yet. I've got to figure it out before they hit the floor. But it was so impactful because now those stories became my stories. And now I'm like, okay, that's a differentiator for that vertical, or that's an interesting way to get past that objection. There's so much shared knowledge that I had to go acquire it though. It was a grind.
I think what you said there was those stories become your stories. I think those stories become our stories.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell people. Yeah, you don't have this experience yet. Go listen to these stories. And then you can, it's now, we did this, and eventually you, even when it is yours, you just continue to say we, because you're selling the team. I'm not a one-man show. I'm your guy. And I'm building a relationship like that. But it's this team that's behind me that is the service that I'm bringing you.
So I got a fun one for you. When you think about all the things that you understand today about freight and what you all do at ARL, what's something you think sets you and the team apart from the field?
To be honest, it's these long-standing relationships and the reputation we built in the business, and that I think we surround ourselves with similar type people, and that's really important to us. We're just not going to do business with people that don't take value in this partnership, and sometimes that means certain deals don't work out for a while. But at the end of the day, and no one's going to believe this if you just meet us. I don't expect you to believe this if you just meet us off the street. But typically someone's validating us before we walk through the door. And that's just from decades of building a reputation. And we all know that. The integrity you bring every single day is what's building that reputation. And with one bad decision, you can destroy it all. So are you willing to bite the bullet and do the hard things whenever it comes up? Because inevitably they would, to save your reputation, even though it's going to cost you money. And I think 10 times out of 10 within ARL, it's short-term pain for that to maintain our reputation and our integrity in this business. We're going to do it every single time. And people know that. And they trust us.
I love that, man. I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the notes that I took. And then I want to see if you have anything else to add before we wrap up on what sets you apart from others. So you talked about it's important to ask questions to know if there's a fit for something. Not everything's going to be a fit. And that it's important to understand the audience. So you talked about the different places where you all are selling, shippers, agents, owner ops, all those conversations are different. And it's important to lead with transparency. So you can't be everything to everybody. Some stuff, man, it just won't work. So I think that's huge for new sellers to understand. A lot of times people just want to say yes to stuff. And sometimes we'll get you in hot water. And then I love this point that you made, be annoying until you're comfortable understanding something. So you've got training managers or other leaders that understand stuff, ask questions, repeat it back as you practice. And then my favorite thing ever, man, integrity and make sure that you're honoring your reputation. Man, it takes years to build a strong reputation and a moment to ruin it. So I respect that.
Yeah, 100%. And just that's the ARL network, and that's the message we put out there. And I think guys like you and I know us like that, we live that every day and realize that every day is an interview. We got to be just as good as we were yesterday.
All day, man. Freight and really business relationships, it's like sports. You're only as good as your last game, man. So you got to bring the heat. Yeah. Awesome, Jordan. Well, thank you so much for spending some time here with us today on Sales Bites. I appreciate you.
Yeah, great time. Appreciate it.